Have you ever felt like you're just constantly running on empty? You know, juggling a million things at once and just feeling completely overwhelmed? Well, you are definitely not alone. It's kind of the defining feeling of our time. But what if the stress we're all dealing with isn't the same old stress our parents had? What if it's something entirely new? Let's break this feeling down, piece by piece. It's the big question, right? We have more technology, more convenience, and more information at our fingertips than any other generation in history. So why on earth does it so often feel like we're drowning? And here's the key idea we're going to unpack. To really get a handle on this exhaustion, we have to look at the unique pressures of the 21st century. The things making us tired are different now, and they stack on top of each other in ways we're just starting to understand. Okay, so our first stop is a really weird phenomenon that was basically born from our digital lives. It's this strange, modern feedback loop that researchers have started calling meta-stress. So what in the world is meta-stress? Well, it's not just feeling stressed by something that happens. It's feeling stressed and then getting hit with a second wave of stress because you're anxious about how you're reacting. You're literally getting stressed out about being stressed out. This slide breaks down that cycle perfectly. So it all starts with some kind of digital trigger. Maybe you see some awful news on your feed, or a post that makes you feel like you're not doing enough. You feel that first little punch of anxiety. But then the loop kicks in. You start thinking, ugh, why am I letting this get to me so much? And that's step 3, the moment everything gets magnified. And the main culprits here are all around us, all the time. You've got the endless social comparison on Instagram, that constant barrage of notifications pulling at our attention, what researchers call digital overload, and that nagging pressure to be always on and available 24/7. Now, this constant pressure and digital overload, it doesn't just stay in our personal lives. Oh no, it spills right over into work, where it kind of morphs into this full-blown epidemic we all know as burnout. What's really fascinating about this slide is the data from Gallup. It shows that millennials are feeling this heat way more intensely. We're talking nearly 3 out of every 10 millennials reporting they feel burned out very often or always. That's a much higher rate than older generations, and it's partly because so many of them entered a workforce with more economic uncertainty, massive student debt, and a culture that demands they always be connected. And this quote from that same report just hits the nail on the head. This isn't about just having a few bad days at the office. It's a systemic problem. The very structure of the modern workplace is, for a lot of people, just completely unsustainable. A huge driver of this is hustle culture, this pervasive myth that your self-worth is tied to how busy you are. We wear no days off like it's a badge of honor. But the research, it's crystal clear. The reality is that after about 50 hours a week, our productivity doesn't just level off, it absolutely plummets. So, sitting underneath all of this personal and professional stress is something even more tangible: money. Yep, the weight of financial worry is this heavy foundation that all the other stresses get built on. And the science on this is really strong. Studies, like a huge one from the National Health Interview Survey, have found this powerful, direct link. The more you worry about your finances, paying the bills, rent, medical costs, the higher your levels of psychological distress. It's a clear, measurable connection. And of course, this financial stress doesn't affect everyone equally. The research shows the connection is strongest for people who have fewer safety nets. So folks who are unmarried, out of work, in lower income brackets, or who are renting their home, they feel this pressure most acutely. So let's recap. We have digital stress, work stress, and financial stress all piling on top of each other. But this isn't just an emotional or a mental problem. This constant state of high alert takes a serious physical toll on our bodies. It's a super important question to ask, because when stress becomes chronic, it stops being a temporary response to a threat, and it actually starts doing long-term damage. Scientists actually have a term for this. It's called allostatic load. The easiest way to think about it is like the cost of constantly adapting. When your body is just flooded with stress hormones day in and day out, it causes this cumulative wear and tear on your systems. It messes up your sleep, raises your blood pressure, and basically sets the stage for chronic diseases down the road. Okay, I know that was a lot of heavy stuff. The digital loops, the burnout, the money worries, the physical toll. Wow. But here's the good news. Identifying the problem is always the first step to fixing it. So, how do we start to reclaim our well-being? Well, the solution has to be multi-layered. At the individual level, there are things we can do to regain some control. This means setting firm boundaries, like actually turning off work notifications after hours. It means intentionally taking breaks from our screens. And maybe most importantly, it means consciously deciding that our self-worth is not measured by how jam-packed our schedule is. But look, this isn't just on us as individuals. Companies have a massive role to play here. That same Gallup research shows that when managers stop being bosses and start being supportive coaches, when they connect employees' work to a bigger purpose, and when they offer real autonomy and flexibility, burnout rates just plummet. And finally, there's a role for policy. Governments can actually help create a healthier digital environment for all of us. We're already seeing this happen in places like the UK and the EU, where they've passed laws to limit addictive design features in apps and increase transparency. This is all about setting better ground rules for the digital world we all have to live in. So this feeling of being overwhelmed, it isn't just in our heads. It's woven into our technology, our workplaces, and our economy. And that means the solutions have to be just as comprehensive, happening at every single level. The question on the slide is really the one that matters most. If stress is the disease of modern life, what role are you going to play in the cure?